You walk them through how the system behaves when something goes wrong. A great rep understands consequences. You need the ones who are going to lean in. And when my sister told me this, I was furious.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
Good morning. John Johnson here, and welcome to Get Your Mind Right Mailbag Edition. Now, today's theme is perception versus production, because what looks seamless on stage often has a lot happening behind the curtain. In the backstory, I'm going to take you back to a 1970s sitcom band that fooled an entire generation. Let's get into it. Julie Peck from Atlanta, Georgia writes, John, what do software companies and payment providers promise during onboarding that merchants don't fully understand until months later? Well, Julie, this question is surgical because most onboarding conversations are built on optimism, not math. You hear phrases like seamless integration, interchange plus pricing, no long-term contracts. You will save money and fully support it. Now, technically, all these things can be true. Here's what you got to understand, Julie. Promises behave a lot differently under stress. The first thing is to recognize abstraction. Merchants hear interchange plus. It sounds transparent to them. But if no one explains the card mix, rewards penetration, commercial cards, and downgrades, the merchant doesn't understand how their effective rate can climb without the markup changing. Got to model it for them, Julie. Show them best case volume, show them worst case card mix. Show what happens if reward cards usage increase just even 5%. Now, the next thing to do is to clarify the operational component because seamless integration means that the software connects. It does not mean that the staff will use it properly. Ask who trains the team, who reconciles deposits, how does reporting align with the accountant's process? Now, if you don't answer these questions up front, the merchant is going to create friction and find friction 3 months later. The next thing is contract nuance because no long-term contract can still hide equipment leases, gateway terms, or minimums. Julie, the difference between a setup conversation and a strategic conversation is this. You walk them through how the system behaves when something goes wrong, when disputes increase, volume dips, settlement delays, chargeback spike. Great providers, they don't sell potential. They model reality. If you want to separate yourself, Julie, pump the brakes on that bulldozer and slow the onboarding down. Make the invisible visible. That's how you earn trust that lasts past month one. Thanks for that one. Next, Bree Miracle from Newburgh, Indiana writes, John, what makes the difference between a good rep and a great rep? Well, Bree, this is where it gets real because a good rep, they know the product. And a great rep, well, they understand consequences. Let me give you the distinctions that you can. Let me give you distinctions you can coach immediately. First, precision versus activity. Now, good reps, they count calls. Great reps control variables. They know their average ticket, their close ratio, follow-up cadence, their objection trends. They vibe check their pipeline weekly. Now, the next thing is comfort versus controlled tension. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Good reps, well, they want to be liked. And great reps are comfortable saying something like, Bob, your effective rate is 3.4%. It's costing you $3,200 a month. Are you comfortable with that? It's an uncomfortable question, isn't it? What they're doing here is they're introducing productive discomfort without losing rapport. The third thing is features versus financial translation. Because good reps explain dual pricing, and great reps are going to say things like, well, this shifts about 0.7%. That's $2,800 monthly. That funds payroll increases. Now, the difference here is that dangerous reps don't push harder. They clarify better. They stand on their business. They tell them what the consequences of action or inaction are. They're not afraid of it. And here's your biggest separator, Bree. Great reps don't hear objections emotionally. When someone says, hey, we're happy, they don't shrink. They ask, happy compared to what? Now, if you want to become dangerous fast, shorten the feedback loop, review lost deals, quantify everything, and go full throttle on your learning. Get your mind right before you get your hustle on. Thank you, Bree. That's a great question. Our last question today comes from Patrick Hansen from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And Patrick wants to know, John, how do I best optimize a trade show as a sponsor or vendor? Do I sit behind the table or walk around it? Stand or sit? Any trade secrets? Well, Patrick, this one is tactical. Here's your rule. If you sit behind the table, you are invisible. Now, if you stand behind the table, well, you're slightly less invisible. Now, you're in front of the table, you're dangerous. Never sit unless you physically have to. Your first step here is that your posture signals intention. Standing says you're available. Front of the booth speaks that you are proactive. Next thing is that I want you to have qualified conversations over badge scans. Have 10 real conversations that beat 50 nice to meet you exchanges. Next thing is a tension-based opener. And what does that mean? Well, let me tell you what it doesn't mean. It's not what do you do. Instead, open it with tension. Try this. Are you currently absorbing your card fees or are your customers paying them? Has your processing rate increased this year without you switching providers? Now, Patrick, you don't need everyone. You just need a percentage of people you talk to that lean in. Now, this thing I want you to employ is a 3-zone strategy. It's a zone 1 is in front of your booth, and the second one is 2 or 3 steps into the aisle to intercept. And your third zone is strategic roaming during slow periods. But this roaming requires intention. Don't wander around like you're at the mall. Now, the next thing is to hit that calendar before you say goodbye. You might say at the end of a conversation, hey, Bob, if you're open to it, are you free Tuesday at 10 or Wednesday at 2 to review your statement? Now, Patrick, if you leave the show with only cards, you've attended. If you leave with meetings booked, you have executed. Trade shows, they reward initiative. And now, for the backstory.
Welcome to Backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me, whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it.
Today's backstory is named, Are You Really Singing and Playing That Guitar? Now, unless you are a certain age or you are a huge Nick at Night fan, you may not remember or know who the Partridge Family is. Now, this was a wholesome 1970s sitcom about a single mom and her kids who just happened to moonlight as a rock band. They had a really cool converted school bus they drove around to their gigs in. They had the super cool 70s outfits. They had the harmonies and they had the records. I loved the Partridge Family, and I personally asked for the Partridge Family album for Christmas. Full devotion. Well, here's what I didn't know. Most of them weren't actually playing the instruments that they were shown playing on the show, nor were they singing. Only the stars David Cassidy and Shirley Jones were truly performing. And the rest? Well, they were actors. And the sound you heard? They were session musicians. And the harmony? Produced. The illusion? Well, it was perfect. And my sister, well, she was the one who delighted in telling me that none of them were actually singing on the record. I denied it. I was angry about it. I didn't want the curtain pulled back. But, here's the lesson here. The show, it wasn't evil or deceiving for that matter. It was a production. And business is full of Partridge Family moments. Onboarding that sounds seamless but hides complexity. Reps who sound polished, but they can't translate impact. And trade show booths that look impressive but generate nothing. It's smoke, it's mirrors, it's session musicians. Now, your job is not to destroy the show. Your job is to understand what's real. And Julie, don't sell the harmony, explain the production. And Bree, don't train performance, train precision. And Patrick, don't decorate the booth, create movement. Because when you know where the real music is coming from, you stop being impressed by the lights and you start controlling the sound. Today's takeaway: onboarding must model operational reality, not just promise potential. Great reps quantify impact and diagnose objections. Trade shows reward posture, attention, and booked follow-ups. And last but certainly not least, not everything that sounds good is being played live. Now, quick quiz here. A great rep differs from a good rep by A, talking more, B, dressing better, C, translating features into financial impact, or D, avoiding tension. Drop your answers in the box below. And hey, if you like this, share this with someone who needs it or will enjoy it. And I'd like for you to like it and hit that subscribe button. You got questions or comments? Drop them in the box below. I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Get Your Mind Right.